It is actually a nice day for once, which is pretty rare for the UK, so I thought I'd come outside and I'm going to do a little vlog style test to compare the Sony ZV-1 with the Canon G7X Mark III. Now, most vloggers want a camera that's nice and simple, so for the purpose of this test I'm going to leave everything in full auto mode. The colour profiles are going to be left in standard, and because most vloggers shoot in 1080, that's what I'm going to be shooting on today as well. So let's start off with one of the most important factors with a vlog camera, and that is stabilisation. So this is with the stabilisation off on both cameras, and let's just take a look at the full screen with the Sony ZV-1 to see what that's looking like. Obviously it's probably not going to be usable footage, and this is the full screen of the Canon G7X Mark III. Again, this is with the stabilisation completely off. Okay, so now we are in standard stabilisation for both cameras. So I can't really see too well on the screens which one's doing the better job, but let me know down below in the comments what you think and which one is looking more stable. Now, this is the full screen version of the Sony ZV-1 on the standard stabilisation mode again, and now we're looking at the full screen version of the Canon G7X Mark III. Again, this is standard stabilisation. So this is now with the stabilisation set to high on both cameras. On the Sony it's called active stabilisation, and on the Canon it's just called high. The problem that you'll see here is it's cut the shot right in, and for most vloggers this is too tight. You need a bit more of a wider angle on your shot than this. So this is the full screen version of the Sony ZV-1 on its active mode, and this is the full screen version of the Canon G7X Mark III on its highest mode as well. So because of how far it cuts into the shot on that highest mode, I've decided to keep them both on standard mode for the rest of this video test. One of the other unique features which I wanted to show you from the Sony ZV-1 is the ability to get that blurry background with just a single press of a button. So if we press the button on top of the camera, you'll see that the background has now gone blurred, and then when we press it again, everything has come back into focus. And that is not the only unique features which you can get from the Sony ZV-1. They also have a skin smoothing feature, so it's kind of like an Instagram filter. Personally, I'd like to leave this off, but I'm going to show you what it looks like with it on. So I've just switched it on now to the lowest setting, so I don't know if you're going to notice much of a difference here, but apparently this should make my skin a little bit more smooth. And now I've just set it to the mid-range, so it should be a little bit more noticeable. What's it looking like? Is it looking ridiculous, or is it actually looking quite good? And now we have the highest setting, so I really should look like a newborn baby. Personally, I'd always steer clear of things like this because I like a more natural look, but maybe this is a feature that you will take advantage of. Now let's just do a little zoom range test. They're both fairly similar lenses, but the Sony has an equivalent of a 24 to 70mm lens, whereas the Canon can actually go from a 24 to 100mm, so it cuts in that little bit closer if you need that extra zoom. Alright, up until now I've been walking on fairly uneven ground, but right now I'm on a smooth surface, so you might be able to see a difference in the stabilisation here. I just wanted to jump in here because since being back home and looking at all the footage on the computer, I've realised a couple of things. First of all, the Canon. When it comes to autofocusing, this thing is really bad. Now, I filmed a lot more footage than what you've just seen on this video, and a lot of the time it is going out of focus. But on the other hand, the Sony, well, this has a problem too, and that is the stabilisation. So at first I thought this was coming down to a decision of what would you prefer, better autofocus or better stabilisation. And then I realised that the problem with the bad autofocus on the Canon is that literally cannot be resolved. There's nothing you can do about that. But there is a couple of things that you can do about the stabilisation on the ZV-1. On the standard stabilisation setting, it's fine anyway if you're standing still, but when you're walking along and vlogging, it's really not good enough, and when you put it up to its highest setting, you crop in too far. So there's a couple of solutions to counteract that crop. The first is to buy a wide-angle lens adapter. Now there's 2 or 3 different types on the market, but the one to go for is the Ulanzi, and I will put a link down below if you want to check that out. And the other solution is a more simple one, and that is simply to use a hand grip when you're vlogging and walking along. This way you can get the camera that little bit further away from your face, therefore you can still use that maximum level of stabilisation and still get that wider field of view. And this particular hand grip is the one that I'd recommend. It's made by Joby, so you know it's going to be great quality, and like a lot of these hand grips, it actually turns into a mini tripod as well. But the great thing about this model is that you can twist the top and then it extends out. Simply turn it back and now it's locked in place. It really is that simple, and I will put a link down below if you want to check this out. I hope this video has been helpful to you. If it has, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and make sure you hit subscribe, and I will catch you on the next video.